Well, hello, everybody. It's Jennifer Huff. How do you become a movement of one in times of great change when there's so much going on? And what's your heart calling you to? Have you felt a sense of urgency? I know so many people do, especially right now. Are you wondering even if just little old you, given there's environmental things, there's politics things, there's money things, if little old you can even make a difference? Are you feeling so uncertain that you can't even get to your inspiration? And are you looking for pragmatic ways, hands-on ways where you can actually feel like you made a difference? We're going to dive into the answers to those questions. We're also going to dive into what it means to be a movement of one, from the point of view of physics, from the point of view of beautiful human beings that I know that have definitely become a movement of one. And does it mean you solo? No, actually, the movement of one is kind of, it reminds me very much of the quote by Rumi that says, "You are both a drop in the ocean, but you are also the ocean in a drop." Welcome to the Thriving Life Podcast. I'm Jennifer Huff. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. If you're ready for permanent shifts in your ability to stay unstuck, make glass ceilings your new floors, and want practical tools rooted in applied physics and neuroplasticity to live a life of fulfillment, this podcast is for you. Let's get thriving forward. And the laws of physics say that literally you are a magnetic being, also a photonic being. You give off not only magnetics, but also photons, which travel around the Earth 7 times in a second, that are received by other people. We have photon receptors in our body. It's one of the ways we get those little intuitions, or we get the callings from, life itself. And when you feel that sense of urgency, it's because you were made for something that you're being called to. Whether you're religious or spiritual or agnostic, I don't even care, because the laws of physics transcend any of those belief systems. And they marry with religions and spirituality as well. But physics is physics. If you were designed to help in some way, then the asking of the thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people that actually emanates from them, from those biophotons, those photons communicate what someone is asking for or how they're feeling. It's not just pheromones. Communicates information. And if you feel a sense of urgency, it could be because there are millions of people asking for what it is that you were born for. So, why be here? Why even be here? Because you're going to discover some of the answers to the questions we talked about earlier. You're also going to get some strategies to be able to move forward without being overwhelmed. You're going to get some tools to navigate the challenges when you start to live the dream that's dreaming you. Our work here at TWA is all about meaning and fulfillment in life. It doesn't mean you have to become Gandhi. It just begs the question, what's the greatest thing I can do with the skills I already have that would make the biggest difference, have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I and living the life that I came here for? What's the answer to that question? And a movement of one is all about that. How do you be that in your family? How do you be that at work? And maybe there's a project calling you. And how do you get to tap into that project? How do you get to get clarity on it? I can't wait for your questions today, actually. I really can't wait for our questions today because I love helping people who are visionaries. That's what it's all about for me. And you don't have to be the CEO of a company to be a visionary. You could be a visionary in your own family. So, this session also, we are all about making sure that you come to a masterclass we're going to be doing on October 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern. You have to register to get the replay, but that is going to be, again, it's about answering the question, are you ready to answer the call? That sense of urgency and become the movement of one that you were born to be. All right. I'm so glad you guys are here. Just welcome, everybody. I'm Jennifer Huff. I started as an economist in Procter & Gamble. I moved from P&G to being very sick, and I had to heal myself. I could have died from toxic exposure. That was one of 5 near-death experiences. And I healed. I healed and became a visionary in the world of integrative health and medicine. I mentored medical doctors and still do around how to lead and how to be a visionary, because I was doing the same in my field and helped some doctors back then to do the same. And from there, I started to study the laws of physics and had one of the foremothers of neuroplasticity in our leadership program, and started to learn more deeply about neuroplasticity. And then I married all of that with psychoneuroimmunology, and of course, started to see people's whole lives change. And so I'm here with you to be able to assist you, after having saved my own life several times over, to assist you to not, when you almost die, one of those experiences was, if it wasn't for a tree, I would have walked off a cliff. And actually, that wasn't an NDE per se. An NDE traditionally is where you actually live the dream of being between worlds. But this time was me walking on a path, and the path had no markers. And I ended up, except for a cedar tree, almost walking off the edge of a cliff. And in each of the times where I've almost died, including once on a motorcycle, being hit by a Mack truck, I actually realized that I choose to be here. I don't want to hedge my bets anymore. So our work is about truly choosing to be here fully. I mean, if you're going to be here fully, right? And sometimes crises can be that moment, like almost being hit by a Mack truck or almost walking off the edge of a cliff. It kind of feels like the world is a little bit that way. And I'd love to hear from you. And let me know, have you been feeling that way? Have you been feeling like the world is at the edge of a cliff or almost being hit by a Mack truck? Do you feel that? Is that something that you've had a sense of? And how is it making you feel? I want to hear from you. So how is it making you feel? And from everybody all over our social media, Instagram and Facebook, and yeah. Yes, Kim, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, Christina, I'm right with you. So I want you to know that I literally did a TED Talk just about this. So we're going to post the link just make sure that you click on the link and open it in your browser to go and watch for later. I want you to be able to actually get a sense of what to do when you feel that way, and please pass it on. But I asked that question of the audience. Have you felt like, you know, you don't matter anyways? You're just a drop in the ocean. There's literally so much going on. But I want to talk about the laws of physics and being a drop in the ocean for a moment. So the idea that you're all by yourself, you have to understand that in a fractal universe, fractals are basically patterns in all of the world, in life, patterns. It's a mathematical understanding of how all of this works. And there was a guy named Mandelbrot a mathematician named Mandelbrot that did some incredible videos that kind of represent the patterns within patterns within patterns. A good example of that is the fact that we're spiraling through space. Your DNA is a spiral. The energies around you move in a spiral. The spiral that we're moving through space as Earth in are also then even bigger spirals, in that our galaxy is spiraling through space and also moving. It's not just a spiral that's 2D, it's a moving spiral, and the entire universe is a spiral. So if anything in any of those spirals change, literally everything has to change, is the mathematics of it all. So imagine if you are only a drop in the ocean. It also means that if you move your drop in the ocean, the entire ocean has to move. If you move your drop, the entire ocean has to reorganize itself around the movement that you made. It's pretty powerful. So if you don't think that you matter, you have to understand that every little thing that you do actually matters. So even if you're not going to, like one of my friends, co-create Earth Day with others. He started in Canada, but he co-created the global movement. Even if you're not going to create a movement about the fires like my friend Charmaine did all over the world, even if you're not going to create a movement as part of your business like my friend Laura did, where she actually has people integrate philanthropy as part of their businesses. Even if you're not going to be Dr. Aditi Sethi Brown, who created the Conscious Center for Living and Dying, it doesn't matter. When you go into the drugstore and talk to someone at the drugstore counter, and you chat with them and make them laugh and have them have a better day, everyone's watching you. And that drugstore clerk will pay it forward the next time they're in the grocery store because it made a difference. But there's a different kind we're talking about today. We're talking about a crisis, right? So right now in Asheville, I watched some videos last night, even in preparation for today. And there are people whose entire towns were wiped out. And I just saw how in one of those towns, because of a crisis, certain government agencies were created, and they went in and created new roads. They had to prioritize. That's why sometimes people are taking that news incorrectly and saying, they're not doing anything for me. Well, I just want you to know they're doing lots of things, but in speaking with them and having spoken with a couple of the workers with FEMA, they definitely had to reprioritize to make roads and do things that create infrastructure. The National Guard as well. It's just incredible what they're doing. It's big work. So that's a response to a crisis. But people in town are also responding to a crisis. People in town are just setting up. Adam just told me about someone who set up a barbecue in the grocery store parking lot. Him and his family, they just started cooking things for no reason, not associated with any charity whatsoever. There are people from church in Black Mountain who the church started doing stuff, but then it became a hub for everyone, whether they were a member of the church or it just became a hub for all people, right? And then there were people who were going with chainsaws up and down I-26, one of the main highways through town. And people who just had chainsaws, which a lot of people have chainsaws in this area because there are so many trees. Just neighbors were getting together and going up and down the highway because it was blocked, and they were cutting back the trees and that had fallen into the highway. And it was incredible how everybody was working together. What is the greatest thing that you can do? See, for me, the greatest thing I can do right now is be this human being chatting with you about what you can do. Because my job in this world is to empower people to what their greatest heart's calling is and have them be able to implement it, and then to be able to walk side by side with them to make sure that their stress and their struggles and what's happening in the world doesn't take them out, so they can fulfill on that vision, right? So one of the greatest challenges people have, and maybe you're having this, is how to get clarity when it's so overwhelming. Where do you begin? It's not as hard as you think. The thing is, we want to do everything. I want to go and barbecue with those people. I want to go and help. I want to phone Habitat for Humanity and say, how can I raise money? I want to phone my people I want to phone my people who have started big visions and say, let's do something. And I'm sitting here speaking to you because the biggest thing I could do right now is have a conversation with you to get clarity. So how do you do that? How do you do that? What's your piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth? What is your piece of the puzzle? So let's just do an exercise on how to focus. Right now, I want you to write down 3 major skills that you have. 3 major skills that you have. If I was to write that down, I would say one skill is facilitating clarity for people. A second skill is I have a love of animals. I'm a little bit of an animal whisperer. And a third skill is that I am good at thinking about possibility. Like, I know that there's always a way. And so I bring possibility thinking to things. So you can type them into the chat, you guys. What are 3 characteristics of you? 3 characteristics of you and 3 skill sets that you have that kind of start to give you a direction. So what happened? I was in a parking lot and I was talking to a woman whose home does not have internet, water, and she doesn't have cell service where she lives. And I asked her, what can I do? And she said, well, there's this place called Brother Wolf. And I said, Brother Wolf? I love Brother Wolf. Brother Wolf actually adopts and fosters pets and is an amazing, amazing organization. And I said to myself, and I drove back home to Adam and I said, hey, Adam, we've been talking about getting a playmate for Mouse. Brother Wolf has been completely flooded out, and it's a miracle that they got all the animals out. They're going through a real tough time. And so what do you think about fostering 1 or 2 animals from Brother Wolf so that they can rebuild? And so I took the skills that I have, I took the love that I have, the passion that I have, and I applied it there. What I know for sure is doing nothing is okay if you're overwhelmed and if you're freaking out and if you're going to carry the crisis. Because if you don't come from your heart and from your superpowers, and you come from carrying, okay? If you come from carrying, so I want you to look, and as soon as start asking questions of people around you, people that know you, people that don't know you. And all of a sudden, once you realize what your superpowers are, look at how you can help. For some of you, it's like, I don't think I'm good at any of that stuff. Then maybe your job is to donate money. Maybe one of your superpowers is making money. Maybe you don't have time and you have lots of money. Then donate money, right? It's really looking at who are you? What's your superpower? How can you assist to be your piece of the puzzle of heaven on earth? Without carrying. So Adam and I are going to see how we can foster 1 or 2 dogs, and we're open to being a foster fail. So that's one way we can help. The other way that I helped was I had internet and everybody else didn't. So I would go and look up things. For the last 2 weeks, I've been looking up things on the internet for people who don't have internet. And I've been texting everybody the full copy from websites because they can't look them up. And I was in LA. I couldn't get home. So that's what I was doing every day for at least a couple hours a day. That's how I was helping. And another woman was doing the same thing, and she started putting it on a doc, and she accumulated all the links, the same ones that I was looking at. And then I took all my links and I put them on her links, and she created I don't know, it's over 70 pages now. And it's become the master document. I'm sure the mayor's office is going to want it for when there's a crisis. When you follow your inspiration, it's amazing what can happen. Use your superpowers, but you have to be clear on what they are, and then your superpowers have to meet the opportunity. Do you have to do something physically when you see someone suffering? I will tell you the times when you see your fellow humanity suffering. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. What there is to do is what your heart calls you to. Because if you're doing it because you should or because someone told you, and I'm just thinking of someone that actually texted me and said, you have to put your family first. And I texted them back and said, my family is doing great. My stepdaughters are out helping animals. My husband is making sure that, trees are cut down and all that kind of stuff. My friends are out, using their chainsaws and other stuff. There are people that I need to help that actually don't have all the things that my family has. So you never need to do anything. If you do, then you're carrying. Carrying is when you worry, when you protect, when you come from control. Your actions will have exponentially less value when you come from a knee-jerk reaction of fear or protection. When you actually follow your heart, you're caring. When you are in martyrdom, when there's a crisis, I'm going to suffer for the sake of others. If you're not coming from your overflow, you're removing gas from your tank. Some people get supercharged by helping. I do. Some people do not get supercharged by helping. It doesn't help when you get a disease because you overgave. I've had that happen. Martyrdom does not serve anyone. It's just trading one crisis for another crisis. To complete, how is Asheville? Asheville is a work in progress. Asheville is getting help from locals, help from people from out of state. Asheville, Blowing Rock, Marshall, everywhere you can imagine that surrounds Swannanoa, Fairview, Black Mountain, everywhere you can imagine, parts of Tennessee have had some pretty amazing things happen when people showed up in their hearts. People rescuing people from the mountains, helicopters going ahead from FEMA and the National Guard, it's just ongoing. It's too much for any one group of people to handle, whether they have helicopters or not. That's why it kind of needs everybody right now. And people are becoming a movement of one. You becoming your own movement of one doesn't need a crisis. Get clarity on the dream that's dreaming you. Step into how you integrate aspects of what you do in the world to find that meaning and fulfillment. Understand how magnetics work so that you actually create, and this could be in your business, it could be in your family, how you create what my dear friend Nigel Seal calls, who's the one who led the creation of Earth Day in Canada, something called Here Comes Everybody, HCE. HCE is from a James Joyce book. His father was a professor of English. And how do you create Here Comes Everybody? How do you create the magnetics so that it's a movement of one, not just a movement of one? How do you make yourself such a movement of one that everyone wants to be a movement of one around you? Imagine if your life, your business, your family was like that, where magnetically people literally wanted to build bridges to a new way of being in this world, simply because you embodied who you came here to be. And we are meant to be individual expressions, unique expressions that are all pieces of the puzzle of heaven on earth. But at the level of the smallest particles of us, we are all interacting together. Each person that goes through a crisis, those desires and those intentions live in physics, and the smallest particles of existence rearrange themselves to answer the asking instantaneously, problem solutions instantly. Entanglement and physics are wonderful things. It is those of us, however, that decide that we're going to understand how thriving works so deeply that we're more interested in catching up with the solutions than we are with complaining about the problems. Let's understand the laws of physics that cause exponential shifts, and let's be the pieces of the puzzle of heaven on earth that we were meant to be, and feel the fulfillment and meaning that comes along with that. To summarize, everything follows the laws of physics. And everything is possible. And what you do matters, because you are a drop in the ocean that moves all the other drops just by taking small actions every day. And we can also start to move towards the next dream that's dreaming you. Maybe you've already lived a couple of dreams that have been dreaming you. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's time for a change. Maybe it's time to up-level or upgrade. Understand that we're deliberately unique expressions of greater consciousness, everything is possible. I truly believe that. I don't just believe it, I know it. Believing it is kind of a mental exercise. I love it when I cellularly know something. I'm just giving you the biggest hugs. Can't wait to dive into the land of the full expression of the reason you came here to this planet, to be alive. Hey, it's time to choose to be here. What are you going to do when you choose? See you soon. Thanks, everyone. Hey, I deeply appreciate you joining me on the Thriving Life podcast. In these times of great change, it's so good to come together. I'm on a mission to empower you with the knowledge, experiences, and tools to turn your dreams into reality. Your dreams matter. Thank you for joining me, because you, like me, are a movement of one to many. Your thoughts and suggestions really matter to me, so please join me on LinkedIn at Jennifer Huff or on Instagram at The Wide Awakening, and post a comment about what you got from the show, or drop me a DM. I love that. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review or many reviews. Share the love. It really helps us to reach more people, and that is what a movement is all about. Until next time, keep thriving.